can add custom additional ejector pins to EMX. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I will explain you what's required. So let's have a look to my startup batch script. Here I set the user environment variable, and this one points to a custom EMX configuration which is not part of the installation. Okay, at the moment here it's on my desktop and I added it to a folder EMX config. So the name is not important. What is important is what you see right here. In case there is no EMX user config path defined, the configuration is used from the startup folder. So you see here is the configuration with all the relevant config files. And if I set up this EMX user config path variable, my software now points to a configuration outside of the installation. This is the typical way how companies set up a company-wide configuration, that all users point to the same EMX configuration. Okay, so in here you see the configuration folder, and this one is now here located on my desktop. Okay, so the next thing what I'm gonna do is I will now start Creo with EMX, and EMX points now to this EMX user config path. So it's the first important step that needs to be done, that the user can add additional ejector pins or any components to EMX. You can check if the config path is set correctly if you go to the options and check this path right here. So here you see user's desktop EMX configuration. And here everything is default. Okay, I just copied the default configuration to this location. Okay, I can now create a project just like I did it before, and I will just load a default assembly. Okay, just to show you how we can assemble ejector pins right now. Okay, now we can start to assemble an ejector pin. I will just create another point right here, somewhere in the middle. And now you see, if I go to ejector pins, the default ejector pin setup with the default suppliers that are part of the standard installation. So if you see these kind of suppliers, and if I go to my installation, I can go to components, millimeter, ejector, and I will see here all these suppliers. And on the bottom right here, there's the supplier txt file. This supplier txt file lists all my relevant suppliers. Okay, it's the first important file. And then we can go, for example, to another supplier. Okay, so the next thing that I'm gonna do is I will add another, I will show you how another type can be added. If I go to Mizumi here, for example, I see the types txt file. This lists all my types that are added to EMX. If I open the ejector Mizumi, I will see exactly these types in my file. Okay, so this is everything that's listed in here. So how can we add now an additional type, for example? The first step that you have to do is you have to work in your new EMX config folder. And to do that, you can create a folder structure which is equal like it is in the installation. Okay, here, components, millimeter, ejector, Okay, and then we can say I want to add another Misumi component. And what I can now do is I can just use one of these ejector pins, for example, as a custom file. Let's say you want to have a straight ejector pin. You can go in here and add this one right here. And now we can create something which would be called custom. Okay, custom. That's what you have to do. And then you also have to tell the software, okay, then now I need another type in here. I have to override my types file and call it exactly like it is called in the .dat file, EPH custom. Save this one. And now I can work on this EPH custom .dat file. Here, this is listed quite often. I have to replace this everywhere in the software because I need my type defined correctly. Now this here is EPH custom. And now this works already. It will be basically the same like the other ejector pin. If you need other dimensions right here, you have to work on these dimensions as well. To copy lines, you can do that. Okay, that's what you could do. Okay, have to add this manually. You can always work on these files on this here in Excel, for example, if you want to create it, but that's the way how you have to do it. Okay, so now these files are added here to my custom configurations file. And what you see now in Creo, if I reopen the ejector pin dialog and I switch to Misumi, I see I have another type here, which is called EPH custom. And as soon as this is ready and everything's set up correctly, of course, I can assemble it. Obviously, it has the same dimensions. But what you already see here is that in the parameters, there's already the new order number. Here's the new type, and this is my new order number from the files right here. Okay. So now we already have a new type. You could do this for another supplier as well. Let's assume the following. You want to have a custom supplier. Custom supplier. Let's call it like that. Okay. It's not visible yet, but if you go to the folder right here, in this case, we have to override the supplier file. Okay, and add our new supplier custom sub to this file. It's nothing in there yet, but we could also say, okay, now I don't want to have it in Misumi anymore. I want to have a, for example, it's not called, it's just a cylindrical type. I don't know what supplier they want to add, but let's do it like that. Behaves now the same like this Misumi, but of course we have to update the type here as well. Okay. We have to replace it everywhere in this file. It's called millimeter ejector custom supplier, cylindrical custom, I called it. If you want to have a different order number or something like that, you have to work on this as well. If you want to have different dimensions, need to be done. It will be based on the same template. It will be a straight ejector pin. And I could already go in here. So the supplier list is updated. Can go here. Okay. See, I don't have any types. So I have to add, I have to fix my types list in this custom supplier to this cylindrical. Okay, software can reread the content. can reselect, and now you see here is my new type. I can select another size. Let's just reassemble this one, remove this. And you see I can assemble this type. And if I go to my parameters, already the supplier is updated. Custom supplier, and the order number is also updated to the type in the file. That's the workflow how you can add custom suppliers or custom ejector pin types to your EMX configuration.